God bless the New York Times for writing the article because it's very interesting. It's similar to something we covered before, but they had a couple of little extra pieces of facts in there, which is good. And it's about how Goldman Sachs is going to take a tremendous amount of the money that they're going to earn in 2009, and they're going to set it aside to pay bonuses and salaries to their employees. First off, they made an unbelievable profit of $2 billion in the last quarter, March to June period. Just one quarter. So they're already back to making record profits at Goldman. Now they pay back the TARP money. That's easy for them to do because they got another $13 billion of TARP money funneled to them through AIG, which they didn't have to pay back. And now they're saying, oh, no, we're good, man. We're good. We're making record amount of money. And in 2009, they're going to set aside $18 billion in compensation to pay to their employees. Now, that winds up, as we told you before, New York Times says that's over $600,000 per employee, the average employee, which is a stunning number. But we showed you a Wall Street Journal article a couple weeks ago that said that number is actually over $700,000 per employee. So why are they funneling all this money to Goldman Sachs? Well, here's where the New York Times story begins to break down. They attribute it to rewarding employees who are just geniuses. Now, they didn't say geniuses, but they came close. I'll give you exact quotes from the New York Times. They say, quote, in essence, Goldman has managed to do again what it has always done so well. Embrace risks that its rivals fear to take, and for the most part, manage those risks better than its rivals dream possible. Well, God bless Goldman Sachs. No, what they did was they captured the government. And they took $13 billion of taxpayer money, funneled it through AIG. Why? Everybody in the government is from Goldman Sachs. Hank Paulson, former Treasury Secretary, former head of Goldman Sachs. The Chief of Staff for Tim Geithner, formerly with Goldman Sachs. And I can go on and on. In fact, you should read Matt Taibbi's piece in Rolling Stone about Goldman Sachs, where he explains all the different people inside the government that are from Goldman Sachs, including Neil Kashkari, who was the guy who ran the bailout program under Bush and for a while under Obama, and he was from Goldman Sachs. So this wasn't that Goldman managed to take the risks that others wouldn't take and conquered the financial industry with their bravery and genius. No, they took our money. That's how they did it. Okay. Now, point number 2 in their glowing article that the New York Times wrote. Quote, traders said Goldman capitalized on the tumult in the credit markets to reap a fortune trading bonds. I feel like this is a story like out of the 1920s, 30s, 40s, where you get those movie reels about Goldman, the genius. All right, let's continue. The people that work at Goldman. It profitably navigated a white-knuckled run in the stock markets. It bought and sold volatile currencies as well as commodities like oil. And it reaped lucrative fees from the high-margin businesses of underwriting stock offerings, which surged this year as other, more troubled financial institutions raced to raise capital. While they were struggling, Goldman figured it out, and they made more money because they took the risks and they played it all right. Yeah, that's possible. Or it's possible that they manipulated the markets, as Taibbi explains, because they mentioned oil there. Well, that's one of the bubbles that Goldman Sachs created, an artificial bubble, and they made a ton of money. And you know what happened in the meanwhile? We all paid a lot more at the pump when we didn't need to. There wasn't higher demand or lower supply at the time that the oil bubble was created by Goldman Sachs. And now look, that cost you an extra buck at the pump that went straight into the pockets of the Goldman executives. Now, you can call them smart for doing that, sure. You could certainly call them unethical for doing that, absolutely. It might even be illegal. There might be securities fraud. In fact, in the Taibbi piece, in the Rolling Stone piece, another hedge fund manager said one of the things that Goldman did was the definition of securities fraud. Now, instead of worrying about whether what Goldman did is legal or illegal, the New York Times writes the story about how Goldman's a bunch of geniuses that is making record profits in the middle of this downturn. Gee, I wonder why they're making those record profits. Now, finally, here's the thing that they don't mention. Now, why is Goldman taking out all the money and giving it to their employees? I mean, $18 billion in compensation for their employees. It's unheard of. And they're setting it aside ahead of time to pay them off at the end of 2009. It's because, as Taibbi explains in the piece, and you got to read that Rolling Stone article, and I'll provide a link up to it. I think we did before, but I'll do it again on the YoungTurks.com. these bubbles, the way they're created, they're artificial. And use an analogy. You drop a watermelon off a high-rise building, and everybody takes a chunk on its way down before it hits the cement and explodes. Okay, everybody knows it's going to explode, but meanwhile, they're trying to grab as much of it as they can as it falls. And as I read this article, the first thing that popped into my head was, this watermelon is going to explode. And the people inside Goldman Sachs get it. The last bubble, funny enough, and Taibbi didn't write this, it's the chapter I'm adding, is the Goldman bubble. Goldman itself is a bubble. They're taking risks that are unjustifiable, and they're not geniuses. If you take enough risk for a long enough period of time, it's going to blow. And they know that at some point somebody's going to figure it out that they capture the government, and they're going to get pissed about it. So they're thinking, hey, before anybody's onto us, let's take out all the money from the bank and take it home. Because once we take it home, then we say, well, this is my private bank account. What kind of communist are you that they're going to come into my private bank account? I mean, if it was in the company, then sure, you could say, hey, maybe public funds, etc. But I already took it home. That's what's happening here. They're taking the money home, so we can't get to it later once we realize what the game that they played on us. So be careful what you read in the media. Obviously, a lot of times the journalists bring together excellent facts, and here are facts in the New York Times article and earlier in the Wall Street Journal article that we might not have had otherwise. But watch out for their twist, and watch out for how they cover it, because things are not as they appear. There's a lot of myth-making in the media, and a lot of times that goes to serve the people in power and not you, and it serves to pick your pocket. I'm just trying to help a brother out by pointing it out to you.